In the year 1971, the Universal House of Justice asked Adelbert to make a journey to Africa. And so we organized this with writings and so on, writing to the Continental Board of Counsellors and so on, who organized his journey together with the National Spiritual Assemblies. This was a different experience now in Africa than to India. In India, we were all very, very much interested in the development of soul and so on. It was different. The people are different. In Africa, it was so light, everything, so full of music, of singing, of dancing, and then completely serious again for the talks and so on. All the national conventions which, to which Adelbert had to go, it was always so that there was a lot of dancing, of singing, and then completely serious, we were sitting down, listening, and again, full of joy, we went up. And it was a very good consultation between the friends. We were sitting on the floor often. We were more comfortable on the floor than on the chairs. And it was a lot of walking also. Walking from one place to the other. With these African friends. They were without shoes, poor ones, but we felt much more comfortable without shoes. And so we have had many different wonderful experiences. We were also when in the south, we were most of the time in the southern countries. We started in Rhodesia at that time, flowering country. Not to be compared what it is today in the 2009. And then we were brought by the Counsellor Bijan Rohani to Botswana, to South Africa, to Windhoek. We went also to Windhoek with him, Southwest Africa, and so where we met finally our old friends from Germany, Gerda Ive and Martin Ive, and their children are very well known. In Haifa, we were, some of them stay all the time as the staff there, and others were working for a special time of length of time there. Then on our way from South Africa to Lesotho. South Africa was strictly separated, but there was apartheid very strong. Lesotho had no apartheid. And we were thinking it was wonderful to go there, and we went there, and we had a translator with us. He was black, and he was in the same car with us. And he must have known it. We didn't know. We didn't. For us, also it should have been known by us, but we didn't think about this. He went to his place where he had to go through the border, and we went to our place where we had to go through our border. And suddenly we noticed, this man has difficulties most probably. Why isn't he here? And so Adelbert went and had a look, and really this poor man had a problem because he was in a car with a ride. So when Adelbert came there, he consulted with them, I don't know, but in any way, he hadn't to suffer afterwards so much as it could have been. When in Lesotho, this was quite different, where one was free to be together, black and white, which was so normal for us. But then from that time on, we were very careful of this. And we went on, so all these southern African places were visited. It was the inauguration of the National Spiritual Assembly of Lesotho, and this was a very spiritual and very joyous experience for the friends and for us. This is the main thing in Africa. Everything is so full of joy. Also, we have great problems. We are poor, but we take the life as it is. We do what we can to make it more easy for them or more clean for them, for instance, and all this. When you sit under the train, under the tree for the meetings, you have in many places, you have mats made already. This all started with Bahá'ís there. And in one of the communities we got a goat as a present. So my goodness, we didn't know what to do with the goat. We had to go on and we consulted with Shidan, and Shidan said, that's very easy, come on, we give this to the community, we shall feed it until the next meeting, we can arrange already, and then we all will eat it together. And this was done so. So you get very precious gifts from them. Also, you know that we have nothing. Many of them, they have nothing. This was nearly the only journey where Adelbert did not have to go to hospital or lie for a long time in bed. He only had very terrible ear problems and so on, but he could go on with it. And I still enjoy this, thinking about this journey because of this, that he was not so terribly ill. There we met the free counsellors. You know, at that time the counsellors were a few. In Europe we have had free counsellors and we have had free counsellors and so on in that area in Africa. It was Shidan Fateh Sam and Mrs. She was born Bahá'í with a name. I will. You can see this all in the book. There I still knew the names when we wrote this book. This was the time until we came then back from Africa, and we prepared for the end spot of a 9-year plan all over Europe. So great travel activity was in Europe. We were living in Fribourg. Adelbert went to his countries, to the north most of the time, but also to Spain and down to Portugal and so on. But far behind were still the northern countries. The Scandinavian countries had great problems. These are rich countries, and the state is taking care for everything and so on. So it is more difficult to teach there, and it is still like this. They have more problems. And I went as a board member around my area, especially then Austria and the Eastern European countries were also for a while through the Balkans, to Greece, down to Cyprus, and all these areas were mine. Sometimes we met on the station somewhere, and we could be together and for a short time, and then we went again along to our own task. Until 1973, the 9-year plan was won, also in Fribourg. We had our local assembly, and the National Spiritual of Switzerland has reached all the goals. Of course, still with pioneers, and especially with the pioneers from America, the youth who came from America, who finally afterwards learned a profession in Switzerland and in all the other countries where the youth was making all the activities and so on. This was the time when the youth took over, so to speak. We have, of course, had great youth conferences in Switzerland with Ruichanum in Fiersch, and where all the Luftballons, the balloons were with postcards with the Bahá'í principles and Bahá'í words and so on it, and we wanted that these balloons go to the Eastern European countries, but unfortunately the wind wasn't well enough for this, so we kept quite a good number of balloons back. And we took them, for instance, to Germany once. Some brought it to Germany, some took it with them to Vienna. And when the wind was gone, they were sent off. And we received quite a good of postcards back with addresses. And, yeah, this was one of our teaching work at that time. The Fiersch conference with Ruichanum was very, very successful in numbers. Until after the conference, Adelbert and I, we went to visit all these new declarants and had to find out that many of these addresses were fake addresses. When we went to the address, it was the priest who became a Bahá'í, and they made a lot. This was youth, Swiss youth, who made had their fun, and so we learned that we have to be much more careful when we accept at such a conference the addresses and so on. It was, we had to climb up the mountains and so on, and we did it with great joy, because many of these mountains were the mountains where Shoghi Effendi was always in summer taking recreation, and where he was for a long time when he became a guardian, where he stayed and where he wandered and regained his spiritual strength, and where he, of course, with prayers and meditation, became so well as a guardian. It was